Well, as here in the United States, in Minnesota, as we get into fall, technically away from summer, we have an interesting development which comes on one level as something of a surprise to us in Minnesota. On another level, it's not surprising at all, it's just discouraging. And this is the revelation that a very large American bank, at times it's been the most highly capitalized, and it was the most highly valued American bank, Wells Fargo, has, on the one hand, run up a number of fines and penalties, including subprime mortgages and others, of about $10 billion, which is, not out of line with other great banking institutions since 2008, but that's a lot of money. And when you consider it all comes from owners' equity, it raises the question in your mind of the quality of the work that the board of directors has done in protecting the owners of the company. But in particular, they had a culture and they had a business model which they touted, were very proud of, and used to encourage people to buy their stock and push their stock price up, which was called cross-selling, which is when you have an existing customer with a savings account or a checking account or a credit card, you would try to get them to add other products from you, in which you can then make a profit. Another account, a home equity loan, a student loan, a house mortgage, many other products, wealth management, financial advice, things like that. And apparently, in order for a number of employees to meet their targets, which is a very normal way for companies, for organizations, to manage things, which is to set goals and objectives for the staff on the very legitimate grounds that if you don't set any expectations, what are people going to do? But then if you set up certain kinds of goals and you provide incentives linked to the goals and something else happens, people will meet their goals in difficult, unusual, unethical, and sometimes illegal ways. Apparently with Wells Fargo, some 1.5 million non-existent accounts, checking accounts, were set up so that employees could say, oh, I've set up 10 accounts this month or something like that, and something like 500,000 credit cards were issued to people who hadn't asked for them. And on some of these accounts and some of these credit cards, apparently the people were billed, they were charged for a service they had not agreed to, which is the farthest thing away from the notion of a free business transaction, a free market where you know what you're getting and you agree to it. There's a meeting of the minds, as lawyers say, and you pay a price for it. So the CEO, well, first of all, this was discovered in 2013 in Los Angeles. So the CEO of the company knew, in some sense, that this had been going on, was going on. In just a little while ago, in 2016, the company agreed to pay a $185 million fine with some federal agencies and some local agencies in California, which led to people talking about this. It led to the CEO being asked to testify before the Senate Finance Committee and the House Financial Services Committee, where he did not impress, John Stumpf did not impress a lot of the senators and representatives with any sense of sort of foresight or deep knowledge or responsibility for the higher levels of the organization in somehow either creating the conditions under which this fraud took place or moving quickly to stop the activity, re-educate people as to what ethical behavior is, and otherwise maybe if you don't apologize, at least you make it pretty clear you're not going to do this anymore. So what are we to think? Once again, we have Volkswagen, we had the banks of 2008, we had General Motors with an ignition switch, we had Takata with Japanese company with airbags designed in a particular way that shrapnel would come out and kill the driver of the car. What is it about large institutions and bureaucracies which means that sort of on a regular systemic basis they fail to meet fundamental duties of taking good care of the customers who are loyal to them, or even if they're not loyal, they're just customers. So where is the sort of basic notion of stewardship that you have loyalty to your customers and you're supposed to take care of them on the grounds that if you're loyal to your customers, you take care of them, they reciprocate with paying you good amounts of money for your product or your service, and that's how you take care of your employees and you take care of your owners. The Wells Fargo story is probably not over. There's investigating some other potential malfeasance, and it's unclear whether the CEO, who has now been asked to and agreed to forego $41 million in stock equity ownership, which he's not going to get, and he's going to have, he's not going to get paid for while an investigation is going on, and he won't take a bonus this year. Is that enough? How do we tell in a large organization whether or not the person at the top should be personally responsible when nonfeasance or malfeasance or misfeasance takes place down somewhere in the lower echelons of the organization? This, I think, is a fundamental question, not just for huge companies in the economy, but for all big bureaucracies. An army, a Department of Commerce, a Department of Transportation. There is, I think, a concern for ethical responsibility and accountability that it can be marginalized when the norms of bureaucracy take over.